Now, if we do not get to your questions on today's mailbag, it is producer Chris's fault because he didn't pick it. Or maybe you're watching outside of live. Either way, my DMs are open at WhatGoingDowney. If you follow me, I think that's the setting. So go hit me up at WhatGoingDowney on Twitter. Or I guess it's X now, it's just straight up X, but I'm still going to call it Twitter. $5 from Zeno saying, my prediction was the Cowboys go 11-6 in the NFC East, the 5 seed. I don't think that's too much of an overreaction or being biased. I do think that's probably fair. Now, I had them at 10 wins in our record prediction that we did here on the channel. But we're talking about one game, right? Like it's not like, crazy stuff. Ball takes a bad bounce. I think that's very much in the range of outcomes for the Cowboys this season. From Leroy Pearson Jr., since we never replaced Zeke within the rumor meter, do we keep Zeke since he's back in town? Probably. I did think about that. Like, oh yeah, we never got around to changing him because we just haven't used it that much anymore. We'll discuss that on a future video, and we'll make up our mind before the season begins. From Mark, $5 super chat. Thank you, Mark. O-line will be worse as rookies take time. Running back worse without Pollard. Wide receiver a push. D-line worse as Hankins is gone. Cornerback better. Linebacker a push, maybe better. We as a team won't be better. I think that if you adjust the scheme as well a little bit, your O-line might end up better by the end of the year, and that might result in like the running back production being better, but talent-wise, you're unquestionably worse. Wide receiver's a push, I agree. D-line is, if Mozzie plays great, like that's kind of the whole point, right? All of these scenarios are, well, if somebody on your roster plays way better, you'll be in better shape. But on paper, yeah, it's worse off. Corner, I'm hopeful, is better with Diggs being healthy. Linebacker, I actually might push to better relative to how the year ended. Because start of the year, they were fine, but then too many guys got hurt. But I think end of year could be better. Kind of like the defense overall, right? Early season defense, probably not going to be better. Late season defense, they were a bottom 5 defense down the stretch last year. They should be better. But which one is going to be are you going to get in the end? Got a $5 super thanks from CJ DeYoung III. If the Cowboys make any trades, it's going to be right before the deadline to fill an obvious hole somewhere, a la Amari Cooper. Thanks. Appreciate you, CJ, for the super thanks. That's the super chat version of the on-demand, super thanks or chats back, basically. The Cowboys' deadline deals in recent years. Now, these are deals done beyond the first month of the season. Jonathan Hankins, Elianaku, Michael Bennett, Amari Cooper. The trend is they actually go after defensive linemen early on or for those mid-season deadline deals. Now, running back was my first thought, but defensive line is an area of concern for this team. They're very thin there with three players we've seen play real snaps in the NFL. I think that is something to be at least a little bit concerned about. So, I wouldn't be shocked if they did do a deadline deal. Maybe they want to see how the guys play, but they've made moves in training camp and before week 1 before. I hope they add some more talent because they need it. They haven't done enough this offseason. So will the Cowboys make a trade this year? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Y for yes, N for no. Roy Williams, again, I asked the safety or the wide receiver, is Marist Liufau going to play middle or weak side linebacker? I feel like the reason his stats weren't mind-blowing because Notre Dame moved him around a lot. Sure, but we've all seen other players who moved around and make plays. Stats-wise, again, never only judge on stats, so I get where we're coming from there. I would think, we probably will see some more 3 linebacker sets this year. I would assume that if you're just doing your normal 2 linebacker package because you're not even in base, I call it heavy these days as much as you used to be. Feel like it's Kendricks and Liufau at Mike, and then it is Overshone/Clark at weak side linebacker. I think that might make the most sense for Dallas, but we'll see. I'm very curious how Zim deploys his kind of back 7 personnel, even his front 4 personnel too. From Mark, $10. I think the linebacker, speaking of Marist Liufau, was a reach, and another Nashawn Wright. The defensive end was a waste. He'll be a fourth stringer. That said, how would you rate Barton to our left tackle using a 1 to 100 for each as a gauge? I wanted Barton, Beebe, and Jalen Wright. I was pretty low on Liufau. The last time they took a player that I wasn't as high on like that was Nahshon Wright. Hope that I'm wrong. I do know people around the league that were higher on him, so makes me feel a bit better. When the right pick happened, like there was nobody I really knew around that liked him that much. Look, I think for me, it's not just Barton or Beebe, or Barton versus Guyton. It's Barton versus Guyton and Cooper Beebe. Now, if you're taking Jalen Wright over Liufau, I think we all would like that class quite a bit. Maybe you take a linebacker instead of Kalen Carson, but you didn't have enough picks because you didn't fill any needs in free agency this offseason. That's the real crux of your issue. From Steve, could this be Zeke's last year in the NFL? Maybe, but probably not. I don't know. Like, you can, on one hand, you can kind of read into Zeke's talking about, I want to come back and finish this. He's had a lot of mileage on them legs. If the downward trend, hopefully it doesn't, continues, it's a fair question to ask. And the other issue Zeke's going to run into here is football's not specifically a meritocracy by position. Age and role and money all matter. You know, Zeke could maybe still be a top 60 back. What happens when he's a top 80 back? You think that's a roster spot, right? Well, remember, those backs, 70 to 120, whatever the number ends up being, those guys are actually often helping on special teams. Zeke doesn't do that. Because why would he? It's not been his thing. He was too good early on. That kind of makes it a little bit awkward. That's like how guys like Rex Burkhead last so long in the NFL. He was never a top 80 back in football, especially down the stretch, but he helped on special teams. That's the issue you can run into here as we get further along, whether it's next year, year after that, or whatever, with Zeke. So how many more years will Ezekiel Elliott play? Maybe he goes for 2 to get to the 10K mark? Maybe that's the route that they end up going, because I'm looking at the Zeke stats here over the course of his career. He's about 1,000 away. I don't think he can get that this year. So maybe 2 years, go to 10K, and then it's like, that's a fringe Hall of Fame career, if we're being honest, or at least Hall of very good. So how many more years will Zeke play? Go vote for me in the comments section of today's video. While you are down there, make sure you check out the Ezekiel Elliott jersey. It is number 15. Now, Fanatics has still been pushing the outdated 21, which is why the 15 looks just a little bit awkward on the left side, because they're kind of just like overlaying it, which, whatever. It'll look properly. Chatsports.com/Zeke15 jersey. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Lance Dunbar's burner. Have either of you been to Post Malone's Raising Cane's yet? No, I have not been to Post Malone's specific Raising Cane's. I like Raising Cane's. It's good food, but I have not been to the specific Post Malone one yet. Frankly, I don't care that much about trying to go down that path. From Tyler, would you trade for Javonte Williams? Is Denver shopping him? Because I don't. Denver's kind of in a weird spot, right? Because this is clearly Sean Payton's regime. This is not. It's not George Patton. Like this is or George Payton. This is what Sean wants to do. So they have Williams, they have Samaje Perine, they have Julian McLaughlin, they have Audric Estime. Is Williams RB1, or do they go with some of the other options out there? It's a good question. I don't know. If they're shopping him, I'd call. But I kind of suspect they're going to want to give Williams another shot. And like Samaje Perine could be available. And like I've got that guy in Zeke, basically. So I don't see the benefit there. So name a player who you want to trade for. Go down to the comments section. Let me know what that player or players' names is/are. From Vince, do you expect the run defense to be better this season, especially against the elite NFC opponents, Niners, Eagles, Lions? I hope so. I would be disappointed if it wasn't, because this team has made a big deal about, we got to get tougher, which, by the way, is like the third year in a row we've heard that, right? Every it's, we We got to get tougher. We got to get tougher. We got to get tougher. Got to get more physical. Can't get punched in the mouth. Every year it's the same refrain, I feel like. Hopefully the scheme helps. You need Mozzie Smith to play better. I think you were too small against some of those more physical run teams. He did a good job against the Eagles, actually, but they'd kind of fallen apart. But the Lions, the Niners, the Dolphins, the Bills, they all punched you in the mouth and you never responded. Green Bay got some big plays off play action in their heavy personnel groupings, which was like you're going dime for Amari Cooper as a safety so much. You still got cooked. So I think that's going to be a focal point. But personnel-wise, you didn't really get better up front. I'm a bit worried about that. You're banking a lot on the scheme is my concern there. You grew the $20 super chat in Trey. We trust he just wanted to be included. Thank you, Yagru. I appreciate that. As a reminder, we have daily Dallas Cowboys YouTube videos for you right here on the channel. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. From Tyler, since Dallas didn't update the running back room this year, think they'll draft trade for one next year. There wasn't a Bijan-type player this year, but maybe Ollie Gordon next draft. I think it's a good running back class, early returns. So, possible, if the running back room is poor again, or the results are poor, I think they'll consider it. But you've also be like, are we going to pay Deron Bland? Do we need to get another receiver? Do we need to invest more on the defensive line again? They might have bigger needs again if they have to do stuff in free agency too. That's why I wanted to sign Zach Moss. If they'd signed Zach Moss, I wouldn't have been worried about not drafting the back. Now we're still here. Last one from Leroy Pearson Jr. Do you see more surprises on offense or defense as far as unexpected players making the team? Good question. I want to go with defense. Just because I think you could have some, because that's the new regime, right? Mike Zimmer's in. So maybe there are guys he's not as high on, guys they want to trade away, guys they want to make adjustments with. I think I'd lean defense. Although I think the tight end room might have the most surprises overall for the Cowboys. Again, if you did not get to your question, or we did not get to your question, it's okay. I'm on X, what it's officially called now, @WhatGoingDowney. If you follow me, my DMs are open.